Yeah, you can start now.
Good evening, presiding officer, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests. I am Toastmaster Pratap, and I am going to be the Sergeant at Arms for today's club meeting. I welcome you all to the 236th chapter meeting of Baner Toastmaster Club. Every club has a mission, and so does our club. Our club provides a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Now, regarding today's meeting, it's going to be a very knowledgeable meeting as we have a theme perspective for today's meeting. Before moving ahead, let me explain some basic rules of the meeting. First, please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Also, rename yourself by prefixing with your meeting role or with TM if you are active Toastmaster with any club, or with guest if you are not a Toastmaster. Second, please put your mobile phone on silent mode to avoid any distraction when you get a chance to speak. Third, use the chat box for any questions or comments. For feedback, send it as a one-to-one message only to the speaker. Now, without further ado, I would like to call the presiding officer of the club, Toastmaster Parijat, who will take this meeting forward. He is digital finance consultant by profession and has a love for reading books and sports like tennis, basketball, and quizzing. Welcome, Toastmaster Parijat.
Thank you, Pratap, for such a great start to this 236th meeting, which now I call to order. So, my dear Toastmasters and distinguished guests, good evening. Sir, do we have any guests right now? Can you please help and confirm?
No, Parichat.
Okay, so since we don't have any guests, so we'll move forward. Now we have a special event today, a special ceremony that where we welcome all the new joining members to our club. And in the last few weeks, we have 3 guests or 3 members who have joined us. And today we are going to induct them formally into our club. All these members have been really enthusiastic and they have already been taking up roles and doing great in terms of their speaking journeys. So without much further ado, let me now invite our VP membership, Toastmaster Tushar, to carry out the induction ceremony.
Thank you, Toastmaster Parijat. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. I'm Toastmaster Tushar, your inducting officer for this meeting. Well, it's now our duty and privilege to induct new members into Baner Toastmasters Club. This is an important occasion both for these new members and for our club. These individuals have come to Toastmasters seeking to improve their communications and leadership skills. And we now have an opportunity to help them learn, grow, and achieve. I now call our new members forward and ask them to join me. Please withhold your applauses until the ceremony is completed. Now, I request all the members in this meeting to please switch off their videos and only the new members to switch on their videos as I call out your name. Toastmaster Komal, Toastmaster Shweta, and Toastmaster Pratap. Please switch on your videos, and I request Toastmaster Santosh and Toastmaster Amit to please switch off your videos. Yeah, thank you so much. Toastmaster Komal, Toastmaster Shweta, and Toastmaster Pratap, you are joining a worldwide organization that has helped more than 4 million people learn to communicate more effectively. As members of the Baner Toastmasters Club, you will benefit from a proven program of self-development. You will become part of an outstanding group of people who are dedicated to helping one another in a spirit of sharing and enjoyment. I would like to ask Toastmaster Vinod, if Toastmaster Vinod is around, our Vice President of Education, have these new members been given an opportunity to discuss their needs and goals with the club?
Yes.
Have they been told how the Toastmaster program works and informed of the many benefits that they will receive as well as the obligation of membership?
Yes.
May I request you to please call out their mentors for these new members who have been assigned? For Toastmaster Komal.
For Toastmaster Komal, Toastmaster Jitin is the mentor.
For Toastmaster Shweta.
For Toastmaster Shweta, Toastmaster Ankita is mentor.
And for Toastmaster Pratap.
For Toastmaster Pratap, Toastmaster Tushar is mentor.
Thank you. If Toastmaster Jitan and Toastmaster Ankita is around, now we will proceed. As an experienced Toastmaster, you have been asked to help these new members get off to a good start. Do you accept the responsibility and pledge to share your knowledge and experience with our new members so that they can immediately begin to benefit from their Toastmaster membership? I gave my firm response that I'll definitely help them out. Now we move on to further. Membership in this club and in Toastmaster International is a privilege that carries with it many rewards. Yet it also places certain obligations upon you. We are a group of people brought together to do things we could not accomplish alone. Our collective obligation is to grow and improve ourselves and to share our knowledge and experience with fellow members in a spirit of enjoyment. This means you must work diligently towards your own self-development, evaluate other speeches in a spirit of support and sharing, assist the club in reaching its goal, remain positive, and keep a smile on your face. Now we ask you, our new members, to dedicate yourself to personal growth, to share this great gift with your fellow members, and to help keep this Toastmaster Club strong and dynamic. I'll quickly share my screen and I request all these new members to repeat this following affirmation after me. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
I, Toastmaster Komal, Toastmaster Shweta, Toastmaster Pratap,
I, Toastmaster
Toastmaster
Pratap,
Komal,
in the presence of my fellow members of Baner Toastmasters Club,
in the presence of my fellow members of Baner Toastmasters Club,
Toastmaster Club,
make this firm obligation
make
make
this
this
firm
firm
obligation
obligation
to attend meetings regularly and prepare fully for each assignment,
to attend meetings regularly and prepare fully for
fully
each
for each
assignment,
assignment,
to apply myself to the projects outlined in the Toastmasters education program,
to
to
apply
apply
myself to the projects
project
outlined in the
outlined in the
Toastmaster
Toastmaster
education
education
program,
program,
to participate actively in club activities,
to
to participate actively in
in
club
club
activities,
activities,
to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner,
to evaluate
evaluate
others in
others in
positive,
positive,
constructive
constructive
manner,
manner,
to build open, friendly relationship with my fellow members,
to build
to
open,
build
friendly
open, friendly relationships with
with
my
my fellow
fellow
members,
members,
and to bring other new members into the club so that they can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters.
and to bring other new
and to bring
members
other
into the
members
club
into
so
the club
that
so
they
that they
can
can
also
also
gain the
gain the
benefits of
benefits from
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters.
Thank you, new members. Now I request all the others fellow Toastmasters to please switch on your videos and repeat the following affirmations after me. We, the members of Baner Toastmasters Club,
We, the members of Baner Toastmasters Club,
pledge to support you
pledge to support
Please
you
to support you
in your quest for self-development,
in your quest for self-development,
for self-development,
provide you with positive and helpful evaluations,
to provide you with positive and helpful evaluation,
evaluation,
to maintain a friendly and supportive atmosphere,
to maintain a friendly and supportive atmosphere,
to give you opportunities,
to give you opportunities,
to help others and to make your Toastmasters membership
to help others and to make your Toastmasters membership
a rewarding and fulfilling experience.
a rewarding and fulfilling experience.
Thank you, Toastmasters. Now I present you all your Toastmasters club card. Somebody, if I request somebody to please click a picture for Toastmaster Komal. Here's your card, Toastmaster Komal. Here's your card, Toastmaster Shweta. And here's your card, Toastmaster Pratap. With that, I would like to congratulate all the new members and I wish you all a great journey with Toastmaster. Thank you.
Tushar, can you just hold on for a moment?
Sure,
For
sure.
Pratap, I could not really take that pic.
Please.
Yeah, thank you.
With that, I would like to congratulate all the new members in the club and I hope you all have a wonderful and delighted journey with Toastmaster.
Thank
Now I
you.
hand over to Toastmasters Parijat. Back to you.
So thank you, Tushar, for carrying out the new members induction ceremony. And I congratulate Toastmaster Shweta, Toastmaster Komal, and Toastmaster Pratap, and welcome them again in Baner Toastmasters Club family. I remember a story that I read some time back of a guitarist, a famous one. He was actually thrown out of his band just few days before they were about to sign their first big commercial contract. This guy dejectedly got onto a bus heading towards Los Angeles and thinking in his mind, what happened? 2 days later, I would have been a guitarist who had a commercial contact in hand, and I would have been famous. And now I'm on a bus back to Los Angeles. What should I do? This guy made up plans and he said, I will beat those guys who actually pushed me out. He hired new set of companions and created a new band. This band is known as Megadeth. I don't know how many of you are heavy metal fans, but Megadeth is one of the top performing bands of the world. And they sold 25 million records. And for current generation, that means 25 million paid views of your music on maybe YouTube or some other channel. And this guitarist through this band had done so many world tours. But on an interview in 2003, when he was asked, are you successful? What would he have said? What's your perspective on this? 25 million copies. That's like amongst the top 5 bands in the world, doing so many several world tours and winning millions of dollars. From our perspective, definitely successful. But this guy, his name was Dave Mustaine. He said, I'm not successful. The interviewer was worried. Why is this guy saying I'm not successful? This guy said, the other band that I was removed from, I wanted to beat them. I could not do that. And that's why I'm a failure in my life. Any guesses on which other band that he was referring to? Anyone?
Queens.
Any random name in the heavy metal circuit?
Death Note.
No, this was Metallica, which had done 180 million records. So from his frame of reference, where he was looking from, he was only 25 million, and the band he could have been part of would have done 180 million. And that's the difference in perspective that I think we all need to be cognizant of. From our perspective, from the vantage point that we are looking from, this guy was heavily successful. But from his perspective, from his frame of reference, he was not at all. And to understand this subject a little more, let me invite someone who loves painting and variety of artworks. And she's started her second innings at Toastmaster. In her first inning, she has been a district level contestant for international speech contest and table topic contest, both twice. So let us put our hands together and welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Renu.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Parijat. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening, Punekars. Welcome to the Mirchi Toastmasters radio station. Well, I'm so excited. माहौल भी है, मौसम भी है, and इस चैनल में आप सबका बहुत ज्यादा स्वागत भी है. मौसम इतना बढ़िया है, ठंडी है, गर्मा गर्म चाय बनता है और अच्छे से पकौड़े भी बनते हैं. लेकिन इसके साथ एक और ज्यादा मजेदार चीजें होने वाली है कि अगर आप अपना कागज और कलम लेके बैठेंगे तो बहुत सारे मिर्ची मुर्गे यहाँ आज हमें इस टोस्टमास्टर क्लब में मिलेंगे जो बढ़िया से स्पीच भी लिखेंगे. So beginning with the wonderful and most energetic 236th Baner Toastmaster Club meeting, I welcome all the Toastmasters and the presiding officer and the guests. Let me explain the program for today for the benefit of the guests. First and foremost, we are going to have prepared speeches. Speakers will attempt to deliver their speeches on certain topics and objectives. We have 3 speakers lined up today, which are going to be our Mirchi Murgas. So all of you have to be tuned into the radio stations. But before I proceed again further, and I'm talking about the speakers, and this is my opinion about all the atmosphere and the speakers and the members that we have here. Can I get to know from each one of you, how do you find my radio station and the radio jockey who's attending and hosting this session at the moment?
Fantastic.
Wonderful so far.
Thank you very much. So on this very positive note, let's move on and hear further what do we have about the remaining session for this particular day. To begin with, I'm going to introduce you to a few role players that I know who are going to have a very eminent and a very efficient role to portray in today's session. First and foremost, to begin with, we had the Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Pratap over here, who had a very ravishing beginning to our meeting. To tell you quickly something about Toastmaster Pratap, who's our Sergeant at Arms, he is a software engineer by profession and has a great passion for reading. Followed by him, we're going to have the language evaluator. Now, trust me, Radio Mirchi is one channel we always tune into to listening to wonderful music and songs in different languages. But evaluating that language, oh my God, it's a very difficult task to do. And Santosh over here, who is a digital marketing manager by profession and has a great passion for reading and watching web series, is going to do that role for us. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Then we have followed by Komal. Now, what role is Komal going to play? Komal is going to be doing, first of all, to tell you about her, she's an automation QA engineer and she loves reading books and playing outdoor games. But to begin about and talk about Komal's role, Komal is going to be doing the timer report. The most important thing, we all know time is money for all of us. but how to efficiently use that time and make your work in that particular frame of time is what going to be monitored by Komal for us. Moving further.
Renu, if I may interrupt,
Sure.
I think you will have to call the role players so that they can explain their roles. While you're introducing, give them
Okay.
maybe a few seconds for them to talk about their roles as well.
Sure. So I will move back to Toastmaster Santosh. Santosh, can you please let us know about the language evaluator role, please?
Thank you, Toastmaster of Day. Presiding Officer, Toastmaster of Day, my fellow Toastmaster and dear guest, good evening. As a language evaluator, my job to listen everything what had been said during this meeting, note and report effective use of the grammar and non-effective use of grammar. Apart from this, my responsibility to present word of day and phrase of the day. So today, word of day, vantage point. It is used as a noun. So meaning of this, the particular idea or belief that influence the way that you think about the things. The use, the war is described from the vantage point of those on the winning of the side. So any one of us use this word, vantage point? Yes, please.
From farmers' vantage point, the new agricultural laws are draconian.
Well said, Toastmaster Parijat. Now, our phrase of day, yes, frame of reference. It is, what is the meaning of this? The meaning is a set of idea or fact that person accept and that influence the person behavior. The use of example of this, the report provide a common frame of reference for discussing public policy. Any of us try to use frame of reference?
I want to try.
Yeah, please.
So leader frame of reference is influence all the employees in the organization.
Well said, well said. And Toastmaster meeting frame of reference are creating the leaders like you. So with this, I request every speaker who is going to who is going to speak on this meeting, try to use word of day and phrase of day, and anyone who is going to listen, so the thumbs up or emoticon to encourage the speaker confidence. I will present my report when called for. Over to Toastmaster of Day.
Thank you, Santosh. Now I request the timer Toastmaster Komal to talk about her role.
Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Dear Presiding Officer, Toastmaster of the Day, and fellow Toastmaster, you see things and people not as they are, but as you are. As timer, my duty is to time prepared speeches, table topic speeches, and the speech evaluation during this meeting. Every speech has a time range allotted for this time. When a speaker reaches the minimum time allotted for the range, screen will show the green color. When a speaker reaches the midpoint of the allotted range, screen will show the yellow color. When a speaker reaches end of his allotted time range, the screen will show the red color. The speaker has 30-second grace time before the green and after the red color is displayed to end the speech in order to qualify for the vote. I will report qualifying times when called for. Back to Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much. Our next role player is a product advisor working with Cummins, and he has a passion for trekking. He's going to play a very important role of an hour counter. Many a times when we speak, we don't know how we really sound and what are the mistakes we make. But what all are the things that are really going to be considered when you play the role of an hour counter? Let's hear it from Toastmaster Vinod.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Renu. Dear Presiding Officer, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmaster and guest. As as an accountant, it's my duty to listen carefully to each one of you and make a note of the following used by the speaker, like the crutch sound, which are filler words like bird, so, whale, and filler phrases, and so etc. And I will make a note of everything speech during the speech and speaker. And when I will call for the report, I will give my report. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much. Can I just share my screen, please?
Yeah, you can.
Thank you.
Just click on that green button. You should be able to do that.
Let me know if everybody can see my screen.
Yeah, we can. You can just put it in the slideshow mode.
Now, is it visible to everybody?
Yes.
All right. So beginning with today's theme, when I am talking about a radio jockey for the Baner's 236th Toastmaster meeting, I feel so excited because every person in this room has got different ideas. And that is what exactly is today's theme. In the beginning, when I asked, how many of you tune into my radio channel? And everybody said, and how do you find it? And everybody said, it was superb, it was very good. And yes, that was the perspective that I got to know. But at the same time, when I am sitting here and I am trying to understand what exactly I have to bring about in today's radio channel as a radio jockey or a Toastmaster, I know I have to grab on to a few people who are going to be my pillars for making this a big success. And at the same time, we are going to have some exciting radio mirchi murgas and murgis as well. So let us see and have an insight into what exactly this perspective means. I have a reference to this wonderful book here, which was written by Matthew Brehm. Now, this particular book, if you see on my screen, the title reads as Drawing Perspective. And I'm sure the next question that must be crossing your mind is, when we are talking about perspective, why in the world is she talking about drawing a perspective? How at all do you draw a perspective? When you talk about perspective, it is nothing but putting across your ideas which are voiced in your own language. It is the interpretation of your ideas, the way you understand it, the way it sings inside you. And this is the main vantage point of today's theme. According to me, everything we hear is an opinion, but not necessarily every opinion is a fact. But everything we see is a perspective. But a perspective may not necessarily be a truth. But then what is perspective? So, in my opinion, in my views, a perspective is nothing but the map that we draw in our minds about a particular thing. It may be in perspective or it may be in connection to a drawing, to a thought, to a discussion, to interiors, to architecture, to art, and so on. So anything that we understand and we sink in, and the map of which we draw in our mind, which we interpret it in our own language as per our understanding, is perspective. And that is why I referred to my earlier slide, the drawing perspective, which was by Matthew, in which he tells us exactly what I just mentioned about setting a perspective and at the same time applying it. Let's begin with the first section of our prepared speeches today. We have in all three speeches, and The speakers are really very enthusiastic, very much intellectual in putting across their own ideas. But along with that, we also have a second section over here, which we are going to have, which is going to be of an impromptu session of speeches, which is also known as a table topic session, wherein you will be having topics given to you at a very on the spot moment where you have to, like a perspective, you have to bring it into action, place a map of your ideas and views in your mind, and give us a speech that based on the topic that has been given to you. So let's begin with our first speech. Our first speaker, she is a very enthusiastic, very simple, and a very elegant speaker. And she likes to talk about, most importantly, something wherein we don't really relate to in our day-to-day lives, but at the same time, most of it are really having a connection to it. We are having lots of love in our life. We are having lots of loans that we procure in our life. But at the same time, have you ever heard about love and loan being talked together ever? Well, we have Toastmaster Shivani, who is going to be our first speaker for the day, and she's going to work on the L1 P2 project. May I please request the timer to let us know the timer details? Toastmaster Komal?
Yeah. Are you able to see my screen? Okay. For standard speeches, Toastmaster Shivani and Toastmaster Sonika will have 5 to 7 minutes, and Toastmaster Parijat will have 10 to 15 minutes. Back to you, Toastmaster Renu.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Komal. So the topic for Toastmaster Shivani is lasting love or lasting loan. Toastmaster Shivani, lasting love or lasting loan?
I think you will have to call the evaluator to share the purpose of that speech.
Okay. May I please call upon the evaluator for Toastmaster Shivani? Toastmaster Amit?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be
please let us
Toastmaster.
know the details, please.
Good evening, all. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Toastmaster Shivani is attempting her level 1 project 2 speech 1 from dynamic leadership path. The purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. And the purpose of this first speech in the project 2 is for the member to present a speech and receive feedback from the evaluator. All the best, Toastmaster Shivani. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Amit. So now beginning with the first speech and to tell you about the speaker. Toastmaster Shivani is a software developer by profession, and she has hobbies like reading, and she also likes shopping, badminton, and loves traveling. So let's hear her perspective about the lasting love or the lasting loans. Over to Toastmaster Shivani.
Thank you, Toastmaster Renu. Am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Okay. Which is the most expensive event in an Indian's life? Daughter's marriage, and the second most, your own marriage. An average Indian spends 1/5 of the total wealth accumulated in his lifetime on his own wedding. This could, in today's day and era, could mean anywhere from 20 lakh to 5 crore. The closer you go to the northern belt in and around Delhi, the higher this number is. Presiding officer, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests, good evening. For the two individuals, the bride and the groom, wedding is the most anticipated moment of their lives, an auspicious occasion where two souls and families unite. However, for the guests and the relatives, it's all about the get together, the music, the dance, the delicious spread, the whole extravaganza. Indian wedding is a grand occasion, very lavish, very colorful, with a lot of pomp and show. It is often said that marriages are made in heaven, but they take place on earth and require considerable resources to make it a mesmerizing event. A grand and lavish wedding has become desired necessity for the big day. Wedding in India begin at least a week in advance and could last for several days, weeks, or even months, depending on the region, religion, desire, and spending capacity. In India, wedding is a family and social obligation one must fulfill. Bearing this in mind, every parent starts saving for their children's wedding right after their education. And in my case, being a girl child from Rajasthan, the preparations begin as soon as I was born. Every fancy item which comes into my house is very carefully placed in a specially assigned corner, a corner that is dedicated to preserve gifts for all my future in laws. No one is ever allowed to touch them, forget about using them, even if they get wasted staying at one place. It has become my parents' favorite pastime for over 2 decades now to add a whole lot of stuff to that corner and plan for my wedding. Every wedding, no matter how big or small, comes with a large spend, a great venue, decoration, gifts, jewelry, a whole food spread, and all the other things which make up for a wedding could easily skyrocket your cost. One cannot anticipate the exact amount of cost in hosting a wedding with the fluctuating inflation rates. One needs to save for years and even perhaps go on a loan at the time of marriage. Despite all the high cost, everyone wants to invite their dear and near ones, and even the remote acquaintances too, adding up to several hundred attendees in the guest list to celebrate their big day in a lavish manner. There is a lot of planning involved in making a wedding successful. There are many tools available like wedding cost calculators and personal wedding planners like Wed Me Good, Shadi Saga, The Knot, Shadi Sutra, yada yada yada, available in the market that can help you assist in your wedding planning. And these expert planners will, will make a killing while smartly making you spend a fortune on your wedding. Even a whole pandemic was not able to stop these wedding planners to fill up their pockets by organizing grand, extravagant affairs. Wedding is a big business in India. Indian wedding industry currently accounts for $50 billion and and in urban India alone, there are 10 million weddings which take place every year, and each wedding costs up to 20 lakh or more. Wedding industry is currently quite unorganized, and there is a great variance of quality in service. So all you startup enthusiasts, here's an opportunity for you to never see a dull moment with this recession-proof industry. This sure presents one giant of a market potential. And all the bachelors who are dreaming to get married in the garb of band, baja, and barat, watch out for what's going to last long, your love or your loan. Thank you. Back to Toastmaster of the Day.
Wow, that was really, really amazing. So, all those people who are planning their weddings, make sure you have it well planned without any hush push and without lots of loans and spending. That's a great message by Toastmaster Shivani. Moving on to our second speech on this Mirchi channel of 236 meeting. And now we have someone, be careful, she works as an HR. So mind you, people, when you talk to her and you deal with her. But at the same time, she's also a great cook. So all those people who are foodies, you know whom you have to get in touch with. But before that, and before we hear more about her, may I ask Toastmaster Divyesh, who is her evaluator, to let us know the details of timings before we and the evaluation process before we move on. Toastmaster Divyesh.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. So, my speaker is attending level 1, project 3, and purpose statement is the purpose of this project is for the member to learn and review the basic research method and present a well organized, well researched speech on any topic. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Divyesh. So this particular speaker, being an HR person, she very well knows how to deal with people. But the most important thing, she having a passion for cooking. Today's speech, which is going to be for an L1 and P3 project, her speech title is going to be The Concept of Nutrition. The most important factor as of now that we need, which most of us are neglecting in our stressful lives. So let's see what is Sonika's perspective on nutrition. Toastmaster Sonika, the concept of nutrition. The concept of nutrition, Toastmaster Sonika, over to you.
Thank you, the Toastmaster of the Day. Timer, we can please start. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yeah, you are. You are.
Okay.
If you want to adjust your screen a bit so that your hands are also visible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Go ahead.
So I can't see the timer screen.
Komal,
We can start, please. So COVID times has taught us many lessons. One of the lessons is the importance of health and well-being. Health has many perspectives like physical health, mental health, social health, and spiritual health. All of them are somewhere interrelated to each other. For example, if someone is not physically fit, that comes to their mental health as well. And you have also heard about, people getting into emotional eating, or probably, overeating during depression, or completely, letting the food off due to their depression. So here comes the mental health. Similarly, social health, when we talk about social health, it's about, impact of social health, like having feasting time during a festive season, and getting off our healthy diet. When we talk about health, the concept of nutrition plays a pivotal role, as they both are interlinked. If a person eats right kind and a quantity of food, he or she will keep good health. Now, food is basically a complex mixture of nutrients and non nutrients. These nutrients are basically, you know, are carbs, fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. And in total, we have 40 essential nutrients, which are clubbed in these five categories. Then, what are non nutrients? Non nutrients are basically the colors and the flavors. So basically, it has no role in the physical health, but somewhere it definitely hits our mental health because colors and flavors, has a huge, preferences in our food. Our body need each nutrient in a specific amount, which introduces the concept of balanced nutrition. For your understanding in a layman language, let me quote one example. Calcium and phosphorus, they both are important for the normal growth of bones and teeth. But too much of phosphorus prevents the absorption of calcium. Isn't it a new fact for you guys to know? I have a lot of such things in my speech. So let me tell you these five major nutrients that I was just talking about. They are bifurcated into macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are also known as macros. Basically involves carbs, proteins, fats, and water. And why they are called macros? Basically, the weight of the food that we eat is majorly consist of these carbs, protein, fats, and water. And our body needs them in a much greater quantity than the micronutrients, which are the minerals and vitamins. Chemically, all nutrients are made up of elements, and in total, we have 103 natural occurring elements. Some of the elements are essential for the living cells. And what are these elements? These elements are hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, phosphorus, sodium, calcium, and nitrogen, right? So, all of us know that water is basically what? It is a combination of two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. So, basically, food comes down to nutrients, nutrients come down to elements, and elements come down to atoms, right? So any wild guesses what is, the chemical form of carbs or the proteins, like we have H2O for water? Okay, let me, in the interest of time, I will quickly, unfold few facts and facts about our some macronutrients. Talking about the carbs. Carbs is basically carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, right? So, majorly, there are three kinds of carbs. One is sugar, starches, and fiber, right? And 60 to 70% of our total calories consist of carbs, and 1 gram of carbs is equals to 4 calories. Carbs has a protein sparing quality, right? It means that it basically break down the protein in absence of carbs to use it for the growth and development. Similarly, fiber is one of the carbs that we were not aware of, right? Fiber for us, it was a completely different macronutrient, but it is a form of carb which makes us feel satiated and helps us in elimination of unabsorbed food. Guys, any guesses for the proteins? What exactly proteins are? Proteins are nitrogens, right? Nitrogens in the form of amino acids. And any guesses for what is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is a red colored protein. Yes, it is a protein which carries the oxygen from the lungs to the various body tissues. So the quantity and the quality of the food proteins depends on the number and the proportion of the amino acids it has. A judicious combination of food really helps us to ensure a proper and a maximum absorption of the nutrients. For example, why dal and chawal is always considered as the best combination, because there are some proteins which are present in the pulses but they are not there in the cereals. Similarly, there are some proteins which are there in the cereals but not in the pulses. Hence the combination uh, is very important for a complete meal. I hope I have able to provide some good insights through my research, and a lot of things are surprising to me as well. With this, I end my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sonika. So with this, we have this vantage point of a connection between food and nutrition. We have been here on this Mirchi channel of Baner Toastmasters. We've always heard people talking about their love and liking for chicken and pizzas and whatnot. But we have never had a frame of reference from a nutrition perspective. So that's a great message we have put in from Toastmaster Sonika. So let's move on. I urge all you people to follow that input, whatever Toastmaster Sonika has given us, and live a healthy and a wealthy life, and keep on tuning into my Radio Mirchi channel. Moving on to our next speaker. What do I say about him? He himself is the pillar of the club. None other than someone who is not only having a great passion for reading non-fiction books, but also likes books of different types, but at the same time, he is into fintech and a strategy consultancy. I'm sure you're knowing whom I'm talking about. I'm talking about none other than Toastmaster Parijat, or PG as he's famously known as. Before we hear from him, let's hear from his evaluator about the objectives of the speech. Over to Toastmaster Puneet to know the evaluation objectives for Toastmaster Parijat's speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and a special evening to Toastmaster Parijat, who will be attempting level 4 project 1, managing a difficult audience. So he'll be practicing skills needed to address different kind of audience in his speech. Timer, please note that the time is 10 to 15 minutes with a grace period of 30 seconds. Wishing Toastmaster Parijat all the best. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much. So this particular speaker has also got amazing passion for sports. Toastmaster Parijat not only likes sports in general, but to be very particular, he also has a liking for basketball. And today, in his speech, he's not going to talk to us anything about sports or basketball. He's going to talk to us about plants. And he's going to talk about how we have to, each one of us needs one chance in life, no matter what mistakes we make. But Toastmaster Parijat is going to talk about giving a chance to plants. So let's hear it from him. Toastmaster Parijat, give plants more chance. Give plants more chance. Toastmaster Parijat, over to you.
Thank you. Am I visible and audible? And let me just remove my background. And timer, Toastmaster Komal, may I request you not to show your screen for some time? You can begin the time as I start speaking, but I'll share something and then I'll come back. Okay, so you can begin now. I can see some of you drooling, zooming into this picture. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you who this person is. My question is, what does this person have in common with cricketing heartthrob Virat Kohli, Sunil Chhetri, the footballer, tennis greats of all times, Serena Williams and Novak Djokovic, and Formula One winner 7 times, Lewis Hamilton. Any thoughts so far? In
They are all
the times
vegetarians.
when we had to plan a gala buffet dinner party for our office teams, of our batchmates, of friends, what is the first question we ask?
You have a lot of time.
Any thoughts? It's about food. We ask is veg or non-veg? My dear fellow Toastmasters and guests, all these celebrities, sportspersons, athletes have turned away from meat-eating foodies to plant-eating foodies. And the obvious question is, why? So today, in my speech, I'll be sharing 3 different frames of reference, and I'll be happy to take your questions after I complete my speech. Over 80% of world's population consumes meat. The animals, cattle, pigs, chickens, face cruelty in their upkeep. Chicken and hens live in this cramped battery cages to maximize space, of course, but they suffer dehydration, broken noses, and much more. In the US alone, over 3 million other preying animals like dogs, wolves are killed every year to protect these livestock. I'm sure all of you have milk every day, maybe in the form of tea, coffee, or milk. You know, young calves are distressingly separated from their mother after 12 hours of the birth. Comprehension of all these realities have led me to believe in this vegan movement, which started to save countless animals from tragedy, death, and discomfort. However, this has become more relevant now as the livestock population has crossed 22 billion. That's 3 times of human population. And the demand for the meat is going up, 74% increase by 2030. Such large, artificially created demand for this livestock puts a lot of pressure on our natural resources, on our environment in general. As per FAO, Food Agricultural Organization, 80% of total agricultural land is being used by livestock, and almost 1/3 of every arable land is again reserved for them.
Toastmaster Parijat, you have been using, can I ask something?
Yeah, please go ahead.
You have been using a lot of data in your speech. Can you tell us the resource where you used it from?
So Toastmaster Radha, thank you for asking that question. As I just mentioned, Food and Agricultural Organization has presented these research points that I just mentioned. And every point that I'm referring to in my speech, I have references for them. And I'm happy to share them with you once we
A lot of data available, which making.
Thank you for sharing your inputs.
Animals are eating a lot of food.
Thank you.
Which, can
Thank you. Toastmaster Vinod, may I request you to put yourself on mute so that everyone can hear what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. So moving on, like the land, water is also a precious resource, and 1/3 of that fresh water is also being used by these animals. Just to put in perspective, a whopping 5,000 liters of water is required to produce just just 1 kg of poultry or goat meat. And that in comparison to look at pulses, as Toastmaster Sonika was explaining the nutrition values, is requiring only 50 liters, 5,000 liters versus 50 liters. And what to say about the pollution, the water pollution and the land pollution caused by meat processing industry. Cattle themselves produce 70% of greenhouse gas emissions, which pollute our air from the agricultural sources. So Toastmaster Amit, when you order your next burger at McD, do think about that veggie burger and without cheese. 90% lesser water and land, 90% lesser pollution, and 99% lesser energy required to produce a veggie burger in comparison to a non-veg burger.
Toastmaster Parijat, I have one question. How you can say that water pollution is direct link with the animals or animals related food? Because if animal is the part of the nature and water is also part of the nature, then I think the right balance for them, because they have the right to use the water. We cannot say that the pollution due to the animals. What do you think?
Toastmaster Santosh, great question that you've asked. And for audience, let me repeat that. Toastmaster Santosh's question is whether we can assign water pollution to meat processing industry because animals are anyways there, whether we are using them for our food preparation or not. So great question, Toastmaster Santosh. So let me address that quickly. Now, when the meat processing industry processes or processes its livestock, after killing, the blood is generated, there's flesh that has to be washed, then the skins have to be cleaned. And all of this requires a lot of water to be processed. And all of this water gets polluted, which is then led into either groundwater or into the rivers that we currently survive on. So you are right that when animals are living in their natural habitat, they will certainly use water and they may be causing certain amount of water pollution. And I'm not saying that the entire water pollution is completely contributed by meat processing industry, but there is a significant, almost 15% of pollution of water is contributed to meat processing industry as per the research by Johns Hopkins University from US. I hope that answers your question. And of course, I'm happy to discuss more once I finish my speech and we have time reserved for your questions.
Sure, sure.
So let me move on. Now we've heard these reasons, but were these reasons sufficient enough for these elite meat-loving athletes and people who have been eating meat since their childhood to suddenly turn into plant-based eaters? And let's say if someone like Virat Kohli, the Punjabi, who would have loved his chicken tikka and tangri kebab, to move to ghas fus, the veggies. And we all know athletes need high protein and nutritious food to train hard and to perform at that top level. And the research again shows that consuming protein from animals is very inefficient. On an average, only 10% of the food or the input that is given to, say, a cattle or to a pig or to a hen comes back in the form of milk or chicken or egg. That's too low. In fact, one egg is comparable to one bowl of soya bean. So you again always find replacements there. And as Toastmaster Sonika was explaining, plants provide a lot more things. Say, for example, dietary fiber, vitamin C, antioxidants. These are required for better absorption, better digestion, and also better immunity. Very important in the COVID times. So with the experiences of these athletes, they have all shattered their previous bests and on all fronts, whether it is body strength or agility or stamina. Multiple researchers, like again by US universities and European universities, have shown that vegetarians have healthier BMI, controlled blood pressure, and low cholesterol. What this means? Lower chances of diabetes, heart diseases, cancer, and other variety of chronic diseases. So not only this, maintaining weight is also easier if you are on plant diet. So now you know, how do I look this lean? But how can one not relish that sumptuous mutton biryani or that yummy chicken lollipop? So today, I'm just requesting you for taking a slightly more flexible, balanced approach. Give, avoid animal food, perhaps, and reduce that over a period of time, over the next year and every year, so on. And shift your focus on fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, pulses, nuts, and seeds.
Toastmaster Parijat,
Away from meat processing industry, the demand will go down, and that should automatically reduce the detrimental side effects, peter them out from what we are observing on our nature.
Toastmaster Parijat,
Yes, Toastmaster Santosh.
as you are more advocated toward to reduce the animal food, but what would happen if industry goes down, and what kind of the revenue is generated? It's helping the economy, and the many people are getting the livelihood from this industry. What would happen?
Again, great question, Toastmaster Santosh. So, as I mentioned, if I'm not saying or I'm not
One more question. Do you have any research in your hand that after the ban the fishing, who will responsible the livelihood of the fisherman? Please put your thought on that also.
Absolutely. So, two questions from Toastmaster Santosh, just for benefit of audience. The first question was, if meat processing industry is not getting enough demand, what will happen to the livelihood of people involved in that industry? And extending to that, if fishing is banned, then what will happen to fishermen? So both the questions are interlinked, and again, very relevant arguments from Toastmaster Santosh. So over here, I'm not advocating switching off completely from meat eating or consuming fish or any such animal product. What I am requesting is to start look at relying more on plant-based foods for the variety of benefits that I just mentioned, whether it is about animal cruelty or it is about
Toastmaster Vinod.
better.
Hello, Toastmaster Vinod. You listening?
Toastmaster Divesh, do you have anything to add?
I'm just telling you, Toastmaster Vinod, that what will happen if we stop eating meat, and what will happen to the festival of when Eid is getting celebrated and people are eating a lot of meat. So what is your view?
Of course, I can understand that, Toastmaster Divesh. Yes, you're right that there could be concerns about how do we really celebrate Eid, where biryani is one of the most loved ones. And as you rightly mentioned, it is very important for all of us to celebrate those. And there's no question about skipping all of that. And we need to celebrate our traditions. But going back to what Toastmaster Santosh was saying, that livelihood will continue, and those people who are involved right now will start getting employment in other industries which are related to plant-based foods, whether it is producing plant-based burgers or plant-based pizzas, or possibly creating, like I'm sure you are aware of soya chops, which are equivalent of chicken and meat, which can be consumed.
Toastmaster Prajat, I have one question. Do you think that overnight you can develop the new skills of a large population? I don't think that a fisherman who's doing the same activities, fishing last 20 years, overnight you cannot train them plant, how to cultivate the crops. I think your logic is a little bit weak.
Absolutely. And Toastmaster Santosh, I completely again acknowledge your point where you are saying that they will not get trained overnight. And I'm not presenting the case that they should be trained overnight. We are talking about a journey. We are talking about a tilt in our thought process, in our direction. And of course, there are 80% people in this world who are right now consuming meat. And of course, it's not going to change overnight. It will take many generations for us to change. If you look at how this has happened over the years, where when humans started, let's say 5,000 years back with agriculture, over the years, we have started adopting meat-eating culture. And similarly, over maybe next 1,000 years, 500 years, we may start to reduce this dependence. And that's what I'm trying to propagate and not ask for an overnight change. I hope that answers your question. So let me move on. And if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them towards the end of my speech. So now, once we move further, we are talking about this flexible approach that I was referring to. That if we start reducing some intake, so suppose we eat 5 kgs of meat every month as an individual, can I take it down to 4.5 kgs? And if we can take these small measures, that can itself tilt the future towards more positivity. So what I request is, let's give plants slightly more chance. Let's turn slightly more vegetarian than what we are today. If it is not for ethics and love for animals, then perhaps for our beloved planet or environment, and most certainly for our better health. So with that, I come to the end of my speech, and I'm happy to take more of your questions in this regard.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Parijat. That's a great vantage point towards comparison between vegetarian and non-vegetarian and working towards the plants and preserving them. And that's a great frame of reference for all of us.
Thank you, Toastmaster Renu. I just wanted to make sure that there are any questions, because I've not seen the timer's window, so I'm not sure. I think the time, we may have a few minutes left. So if like just to leverage the time availability, may I just request from people who may have questions, maybe.
Yeah, you can just ask questions. You have 30 seconds to do
it. Toastmaster Narayan, Toastmaster Amit. I think one of the common kind of arguments that I hear, maybe I'm not sure if it is playing in your minds, is that I talked about 80% of population in the world is eating meat. But what about India? Is it like relevant to us Indians? So one thought that I would like to place with you is that India, of course, is a country with many vegetarians. But if you look at Indian population also, 70% of Indians are meat consuming. Barring few states like Rajasthan and Gujarat, and in fact Gujarat also, but maybe Rajasthan and Haryana, where 70% of the population is vegetarian. Apart from these two states, all other large states are majority non-vegetarian meat-eating states. So all of these points are, in my view, quite relevant and require a lot more deliberation in our mind. And I'm not again saying that you have to necessarily move away, but my request is just give an iota of thought in this direction.
I think fooding habit of large population depend upon the geographically. Means that any population near to the sea, definitely they like the fish, like Punjab and Haryana and South, North India. There is a lot of the means that land is so much good so that we can crop any kind of the crops.
So
harvesting, yeah, kind of facility.
Relevant arguments. So two things that I think you mentioned. One is that it is very relevant to the like the place that people live in and what kind of food is available. So you're right that in the coastal geographies, maybe eating fish is very natural. And as I said, like I'm not advocating leaving it completely. But to the other point that you mentioned about northern India, where maybe the grain production or the vegetarian plant-based production is very high. But even there, if you look at it, let's say a state like Punjab and Haryana, if you compare them, Haryana and Punjab both are primarily agrarian state, which actually produce a lot more rice and wheat for our country. But if you compare Punjab, 75% of the population actually consumes chicken and meat, versus if you look at Haryana, only 30% of the population consumes meat and chicken. So yes, there is definitely a inclination towards what is available and which makes sense. But can we also make some conscious choices? Can we reduce it by that half kg per month? Can we reduce it by that 1 kg per month? And start thinking about those animals, start thinking about ourselves, about our health, what is happening to us. Can we be leaner? Can we be more, like we were talking before this call, can you become more leaner than who you are right now?
So Pajat, I have one question. Like in food, we say that this is organic food and this is not organic food. In meat, is there any organic meat or not organic meat?
So again, I think very interesting perspective, Toastmaster Santosh, about organic and inorganic. So in animals also, you may have heard about free range animals versus caged animals. So if you look at eggs now, there are eggs which are free cage bird eggs versus a normal eggs, and they're slightly expensive because those birds are not kept in tight cages. They are allowed to move around on the ground. But when you allow to move them on the ground, you need larger land. Again, you need to have more manpower to manage them, and that increases the cost. So, of course, there is some similar concept there, but the point is still you are working on those animals, and the food that you are getting is again not as nutritious. It is like the only reason why perhaps we have moved to animal-based foods is it's easier to get protein from, say, an egg. Versus you have to find pulses which will give you those nutrition. You have to find grains. You have to mix up those grains to get the right kind of nutrition. That's why it becomes difficult to pursue a plant-based food routine in your lives. And that is one of the reasons why people choose the easy way out and go for meat-based products. As I said, both are available. You have to make your choice. So with that, I'm not seeing the timer's window, but I'm believing that we are running short of time. So thank you very much, and I hope this session was useful. It would have ignited some thoughts in your mind. And with that, let me hand over the control back to our gracious and wonderful Toastmaster of the day, Renu.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Parijat. That's a great speech with a wonderful series of questions coming in. I request all of you to please give your feedback to each of the speakers. I missed out on the first two. I apologize for that. You get 30 seconds to do so. All right, now I request Toastmaster Komal to let us know the timer report.
Okay. Actually, first of all, I need some feedback from Toastmaster or PO that in the Parijat's speech, we have crossed, assigned time to him was 10 to 15 minutes, but we, due to the questions and answer session, we crossed the 16 minutes. So I'm not sure he is qualified or not. Can someone give his inputs
So,
on this?
Komal, it was supposed to be 15 minutes, including the question and answers.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I was not able to see your window, so I could not really
I think
wrap up the
since the
session before
timing
that.
window is not visible, I think let's qualify for the speech.
Okay, okay. Actually, I shared the screen, but I am not sure. Okay, then all speakers have qualified. The finish time for Toastmaster Shivani was 6 minutes 25 seconds. For Sonika was 7 minute 24 seconds, and for Parijat it was 16 minutes 5 seconds. Back to Toastmaster Renu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Komal. Let us have a poll and cast our votes for the speakers. Can we have the poll, please? Have everybody done voting?
Yes.
Yeah, you can move on.
Okay, I'm just sharing my screen once again. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Renu.
Okay. Moving on with our perspectives, we've had great series of speeches from all the speakers. We've had a wonderful vantage point for nutrition, for money, for loans, and for the greenery around us, and for preservation and giving plants a chance and being vegetarian and trying to be avoiding non-vegetarian food. This particular slide that I'm just presenting to all of you is talking about the same perspective. In the beginning, we talked about each one having their own viewpoint, each one having their own understanding of the situation. This particular slide talks about or shows one number, which is the number 6. In our day-to-day lives, it so happens that when we put across our thought, it so happens that when the opposite person does not agree to us, we somehow end up welcoming different series of emotions like anger, anxiety, and stress. But we forget and fail to understand and realize that the opposite person, his way of thinking, his angle of viewing things is exactly the same and right for him, but it may not be right for us from our side of view. So this is where perspective comes into the picture. Moving on to our next slide, we can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. A very beautifully put thought by Abraham Lincoln. Again, this is his perspective, his viewpoint of looking into things which have got a beautiful fragrance, just like flowers do, beautiful, vibrant colors, just like flowers have. But at the same time, every situation and every condition and scenario may have thorns. So it is what we have to focus on, be it the flowers, the fragrance or the vibrance, or the thorns which are really going to hurt us. Moving on to our next session. Just a minute. We are moving on to the next section of our speeches. And to do this, I'm going to invite a very dynamic lady who is having 20 years plus of experience, not only in her entire curriculum, but at the same time, she's also working as a dean for the ICFAI College. I'm talking about none other than Toastmaster Manisha, who is going to head or host our table topic session for today. This is going to be an impromptu session, which is going to enhance our ability to think faster based on the topic given to us and speak about it. Over to table topic master of the day, Toastmaster Manisha.
A very good evening, presiding officer, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. So today I am your table topic masters, and I would just like to brief you. I have asked for some nominations. I have not actually got some nominations. So I'm going to pick up people here and ask them to speak. So first, let's see how am I going to do this. So first of all, why you should be participating in table topic speeches. I think it enhances, it's an impromptu speech. So definitely the topics are going to be connected to something that's the theme of today's meeting. And some of the things that it does to you is it enhances your skills on listening, on thinking, on organizing. and a delivery. So when you say listening, I would actually hear, I have a different perspective of doing the table topic masters. So I hope that all the senses are quite, utilized here. And definitely regarding the timing, I will request timer Komal to keep track of it. So for the tabletop, today we do not have the round robin. So in table topic, you will be given but you have to speak till 1 minute, and maximum you can speak till 2, but there's a grace time of 30 seconds, so 2:30, that is what you get. And you can give the perspective of whatever you see or whatever you decide to speak on. And definitely you get to organize all your thoughts, and from your frame of reference, please speak what you are able to see as the table topic. And yes, finally, that's your job. You have to do the delivery of it. So I'll urge every speaker definitely to use the word of the day and phrase of the day. That will help us. And for you to get vote, to be eligible for voting, I think Komal is going to keep track of your timing. So, all right. I don't think we have any guests.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Okay, so let me call Toastmasters Puneet. I'm very happy that he has volunteered for this. And I need to share my slide. I need to share my...
You can just click on the green button.
Yeah. Are you able to see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay. So that's our theme. So how am I going to do it? So here I've already given you the instructions regarding time. So what I am going to do is I have some pictures here for you. You select the number, I'll click that number, and we start the time, and then you can speak whatever is the picture all about. So Toastmasters Puneet, are you ready?
Yes, always picture number 1.
Picture number 1, just a minute.
Okay, so I should speak or your mum table topic master now, or
No,
I should
you are
speak directly.
on whatever you are seeing, and I will now stop sharing because I think the timer has to share the screen.
Fair enough. Okay. So whenever you look at the arrow, I'll start. Okay. So whenever you look at the arrow, okay.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, timer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, start. Thank you.
I vividly remember the time when my father first took me to the first time when I traveled on an airplane. It was Indian Airlines. I vividly remember it was a trip from Bangalore to Ahmedabad. And I remember that trip so vividly because as a child, I was so excited. I was on cloud 9. And even till this date, I still have that kind of feeling every time I board on a flight. When you're working for an organization like Mahindra or any other organization, it gives an opportunity for you to explore different parts of the world. And I was fortunate to go visit Pune, Madras, Kochi, a lot of other places in India, thanks to my organization. And more importantly, every time I get into Indigo and my favorite spice jet, and in addition to that, Vistara. Vistara serves the best food. I still love it every time I enter into these aeroplanes, these amazing Indian companies. The kind of hospitality they serve is indeed amazing. In fact, I would always rate Vistara, Indigo, SpiceJet as my favorite. Of course, these are the only one which you have in India. But having said that, that feeling of childlike enthusiasm always exists every time I enter into an aeroplane. And by the way, even air hostess also greet us so politely that they make you feel as if you're in your own home. And having said that, I think now, thanks to the aviation industry revolution, which has been happening thanks to Naresh Goyal of Jet Airways, I think earlier, now Jet Airways is bankrupt. Indigo, I forgot the name of the founders, and Ajit Singh, who is owner of SpiceJet, they've all created that revolution. And whenever you see an aeroplane, I think there is that childlike enthusiasm which always exists. So yes, although I've grown up as an adult, still 25, but every time I step into an aeroplane, I feel that childlike enthusiasm. Papa, Papa, I want to get into that window seat. Even till this date, I have that kind of enthusiasm. So yes, so have that childlike enthusiasm, fellow Toastmasters, and don't let that inner child die just because we have grown up. It's not that when you're old that you have grown up, or I'm not able to remember that quote. But having said that, it's not when you're old that you are when you stops growing. It's you become old when you stop growing. Oh yeah, I think just forget it. Back to you, table topic master. So have that childlike enthusiasm because enthusiasm is the most contagious weapon in the world. Back to you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. And I can just share my screen. So now I have TM Komal. Will you be able to keep track of time also?
Yeah, I will try.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So picture 1 is gone, huh?
I would select picture 3. Okay. So
And I'll stop share.
mhm. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, I will start the timer. Okay. So what we see is the fruit. Fruits are very essential. Fruits comes under the category of plants. We can eat any number of fruits, and they can when we are ill, when we are going anywhere outside, we can always take our fruits and we can have them. And this is the one thing, like we don't have to think about it. Whenever we want to, we can eat it in the breakfast or in the lunch or in the dinner. So these things are very important. You should always eat fruits. And apple a day keeps doctor away, as we know. Many people say this. uh, yeah. Mm, that's it. Thank you. Think I should stop timer before this. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Komal. So next, I would like to call upon Toastmasters of the Day. That's Toastmasters Renu. Let me quickly share my screen once again.
Sure.
Yeah, so picture 3 is also gone.
Okay. I'll go for picture 6. Thank you. Gratitude and attitude are not challenges, they are choices. So the right perspective towards making a choice makes the impossible possible. Many a times we keep trying and end up failing. And that failure really makes us tired and we just don't know what we have to do. But at the end of the day, in between every single tries that we are making, every single efforts that we are putting in, there is the secret keyword which is hidden there, which really tells us, no, you should not give up. You should not be tired of trying. The trying efforts that you have put in is the key to your answer. So I strongly believe making the impossible possible is the right perspective, the perfect vantage point that we can have, wherein we work towards what we want to make a success. And in the end, that particular frame of reference turns out to be a major success. When we talk about marching towards our goals in our daily lives, in our ambitions, we should always keep this in mind, that having the right approach towards our milestone makes things really working the best for us and not really making us those expressions coming up, which the smiley just showed, that we should give up and we should not be really irritated, agitated with the way things are coming up. Thank you. Over to Table Topic Master.
I'm sure the emoticon also did not think that he would be used for this kind of perspective. Great. Let me again share my screen, and this time I'm going to call in the president-elect, and that is Toastmasters Radha Singh. Just a minute. Okay. So 1, 3, and 6 is gone. Yes, Toastmasters Radha. I can't hear.
Radha, we cannot hear you. There's some noise from your end, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can now.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm saying that you've already created that pressure on me by giving me that title. Never mind. I would go to picture 5.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Picture 5.
Picture 5.
Picture 5. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what it
is.
Stop sharing. Timer, you may start now. When you're lost and you don't know what to do, when you're confused and you don't know how to make your choices, all you need is green, lush garden. You keep walking towards that green, lush garden until you come across this gigantic tree. Wonder, look above, take a round, and sit down. That's the moment for yourself. That's the moment that you want to spend with your own self. We all need to spend some time with ourselves to understand our better self. Before we start judging other people, we need to know about us. And nothing but that beautiful green tree and the beautiful lush forest can add up, cheer you up, make you energetic, and let you be in that moment and help you achieve the things that you're trying to achieve. Such a beautiful picture shown. Just by looking at the picture, don't we all get energized and moved as if we are walking towards, and if we get a chance to sit down, we will be energized by the surrounding and the tree itself. It enables us to quicken the process and help us to understand ourselves in a much better way. Point to remember here is, what is it that you're looking for? You're looking to gain focus and attention. All you need is a peaceful environment. And that's what it brings to your life. So when you get a chance like that, don't miss that out. Spend that one moment with yourself under that gigantic tree. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, or Table Topic Master.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Otherwise I can finish this.
I think we'll have to finish this.
I think we are running out of time. So
yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
You'll have to call for timer support. And
yeah, timer, can I please understand who all have qualified?
Only I have disqualified. I spoke for less than 1 minute. All other speakers have qualified. The finish time for Toastmaster Puneet was 2 minutes 29 seconds. For Renu, it was 1 minute 31 seconds, and for Toastmaster Radha, it was 2 minutes 13 seconds. Over to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So for the poll,
Sergeant Adams will launch that poll.
okay.
Pratap, can you launch the poll, please?
Yeah, I can see only the previous one. Yeah, I can.
I think you have not selected it. That's why you're not seeing it.
I think it's launched now.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah. Okay, so let's back to Renu. Renu, you can take the control, and maybe we can take a 2-minute break, quick bio break, and then we can be back for evaluation.
Okay.
So right now it's 5:41. So let's take a quick break for 2 minutes, 5:43, and then we'll be
5:43.
back.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we can begin.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Moving back to our slides, many a times we talk about a half glass of water, whether you see it as a half glass full or a half glass empty. Right on my screen, we see some letters written here. I can read it, though it is upside down, but can you read it even if it is upside down? And if yes, what it really means? For at a glance in the beginning, for someone who's seeing this upside down, can really be agitated. And the reactions may come up like, oh God, you're holding it upside down, just put it straight. But that is obvious. This is a basic human tendency to react in this manner. But if we apply here the right amount of perspective and get into that frame of reference that is really believed with with the amazing vantage point, we will know what we have to really get out of it. Your perceptions create your reality. How strong you believe and what power and what energy you give to your thought process, to your belief, and to your frame of ideas and references that you are strongly following with the brain map of ideas you have within you can help you create a greater creative perspective towards reality. You can bring that imagination to reality. And with that, let's move on to our section of evaluations. I call upon stage someone who is a supply chain professional. He has hobby of gardening, and at the same time he has got amazing insight about today's theme. He says everything in the universe is relative and depends on one's perspective. Put your hands together and let's welcome our general evaluator for today, Toastmaster Amit.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So, welcome to the general evaluation section. And everything I speak will be from my perspective and my frame of reference, whatever I have seen in Toastmasters and understood the things about public speaking. All right. So, as general evaluator, my role is to evaluate, to carry you along in the evaluation section. In this particular section, we have three parts. First one, where three evaluators will be coming and evaluating the speech by the speakers. I stress upon this that you need to evaluate the speech and not the speaker. The timing sequence for the evaluators is 2 to 3 minutes. So green at 2, amber or yellow at 2.5, and red at 3, and a 30-second grace after which you will be disqualified from voting. After that, we will have the role players report, and post that we will have a general report about the meeting from my side. So starting with the speech evaluations, first evaluator who will be evaluating Toastmaster Shivani's speech, you have already heard the introduction from the Toastmaster of the day about him. So let me welcome Toastmaster Amit. Toastmaster Amit, can you please come on the virtual stage? Thank you very much. You guys can clap. All right. So Toast timer, am I audible and visible? Can
Yes,
you,
yes, you are.
Yes, yes.
can you please project the timing? Toastmaster Shivani, lasting love or lasting loan. Now that was an amazing start and amazing title of your speech. And that for sure brought a lasting curiosity in the evaluator, that is me. A well chosen topic that did bring curiosity in everyone. You started with a statement, and that accentuated the curiosity and again hooked the audience towards your speech. Now start well done. It's always said if you can get the attention of your audience in the first 40 seconds or max a minute, your 50% victory is done. Moving on. I really liked how you used your hand gestures. When you used the bride and the groom, that was well used. When you said no one ever touched, forget about using, that was hand well used. So that kind of gave the story to us and helped realize the story and live the story with your hand gestures. Next thing which I liked is that you brought your own story into that. Now remember, as audiences, we all are interested to hear what are your tragedies in life. We really are. And that's where you brought your own story. And that was again a part well done, because if you bring your own stories, you need not worry about anything else and you have a flow in that. And we are also interested, as I said, in your tragedies. You brought examples to help your case, like $50 billion, 10 million weddings. So that did add a lot of data to your story to help your story building on that. And then I really liked how you moved on to the end of your speech with giving a message to the startup enthusiasts, giving them an opportunity of doing business. And and I like the ending, how you told all the bachelors that who have dreams of marriage, whether it is love or lasting loan. Now moving on, like they say that if I can bring an analogy, lasting speech or lasting evaluations, like you have to bring a balance between the love and loan. Similarly, in your speech and my evaluation points, I have some feedback which you need to balance to move on and improve your speaking capabilities. First thing is a pause. Now remember, a pause is very important, the law of pauses. Now, I would have loved had you taken some pauses when you had said, like, daughter's marriage, took a pause, and own marriage. That would have brought more curiosity in an audience, especially if I say about myself. Then you said, music, dance, get together. You could have taken few pauses in between all three words when you were talking about the guests. That would have brought curiosity. And also that pause helps to absorb your speech and move along with you. Second thing which I would like you to challenge yourself in the next speech is avoid looking at the notes. Now it's your second speech, and as you move on to the third speech, I would like you to not use notes. So in summary, if I said topic well chosen, hand gestures well done, good story, good ending, and if you can challenge yourself not to use the notes and take few pauses, you'll be amazing. Over to you, myself. Okay, I am the general evaluator. Over to myself. All right. Moving on to the second evaluator. Now, someone who will be evaluating speech given by Toastmaster Sonika. I know him as an IT enthusiast, and we have seen how he is enthusiastic about the newer technologies like artificial intelligence and all. Let me welcome Toastmaster Divyesh on the virtual stage to evaluate the speech given by Toastmaster Sonika. Toastmaster Divyesh.
Am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. The
Thank
screen
you.
is visible, Divesh?
Yes, Komal.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Good evening, presiding officer, fellow Toastmasters, and Toastmaster of the day. So, physical fitness is a requisite of happiness, and nutrition plays major role in our physical fitness. So it's in our happiness as well. So today's speech is mm, about nutrition of my target speaker. She has covered content of nutrition very well, and this details has been covered from the vantage point. And speech was really excellent. The start was very good. She started with the COVID time has taught us many lessons. So it grabbed the audience attention, and it has many good things, and like clarity, audience awareness, comfort level was very good. And she has covered few topics of nutrition, like she has covered topic like mental, physical, and social health. After that, she has started with the mixture of nutrient and explained the five nutrient type. Then macronutrient and micronutrient. So she has explained the difference very well. But overall, there are few improvement area in the required in this overall speech. So she should have you should have include your personal journey or personal instance in when you are speaking about this, because that was missing. There were only content, there were more content. Plus second thing is, if you could include more about the food aspects, it would have been much better. And last is, it's more about the structure. So structure was start and body was proper, but end was, it was ended abruptly. So from my reference, your speech was good, but if you could little bit improve on these aspects, it would have been much better. So best of luck for your next speech. Thank you. Over to you, general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Divyesh. I'm sure the speaker will be benefited with your evaluation points. Moving on to the third evaluator for the day. Now, I know him just by, like, all great speakers are known by their one speech or one title. I know him by his speech of Dalgona Coffee. And the other things that I do know is that he works for Mahindra. He even said about that. And I have seen him visiting many Toastmasters Club and giving speeches, doing evaluations, taking table topics. So that goes on to show that how serious he is about self-improvement. So let me welcome Toastmaster Puneet to evaluate the speech given by Toastmaster Parijat. Toastmaster Puneet, may you please come on the virtual stage?
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. Can I see the timer's card? Okay. Thank you, Komal. Yes. Thank you so much. When a speaker is passionate about a topic, out comes a speech which has the power to transform humanity. Toastmaster Parijat, your speech did exactly that to me. Now, out of all the nuggets of wisdom which you have shared, these are the top three things which I absolutely loved. Number one, the speech objective demands that how you handle different audience. And I love the way in which you manage Toastmaster Radha, Toastmaster Santosh, and Toastmaster Divya's questions as well. And I think it's very rare instance that when an incoming president asks a question to an outgoing president, so which I really enjoyed, you acknowledge the question. And my favorite part, Toastmaster Santosh, when he was bombarding with you questions after question, that too they were very long, you not just only acknowledge them, you also summarize them. And when you summarize, you're in a better position to understand the question itself, which gives you a better position to answer. So a job brilliantly done. Number two, relatable examples And sources. You quoted Food and Agriculture Organization. You brought John Hopkins University. You also gave examples of Virat Kohli, various sports person, which was very good for me to connect as a listener. And last but not the least, the icing on the cake, which is the hand gestures. Uh, you used hand gestures, for example, 50 liters versus 5,000 liters. Uh, you either have, and then when you gave us a choices, you have a plant based. You also have the option of meat, but I leave that up to you. And that's when you gave us a strong call for action. Is to not just for, if not for the sake of animal, but for the sake of our planet Earth, for our environment, that we need to opt for plant based, which I really loved it. Now, every speech has a room for improvement. Now, in my opinion, no doubt you ace the objectives with your power of empathy and sympathy. Now, how you could do it a lot more better are my two simple, specific recommendation. Number one, have smile when you're acknowledging question, because I found that you are having a very stiff, angry young man look when you were answering that question. I know it's understandable that it's a very content heavy and nobody likes to be interrupted. And I was able to see slight smile only at the conclusion of your speech. So maybe just like how you're having a smile right now, a tinge of smile while acknowledging a question can help you create wonders. Number two, better logical explanation at the conclusion. Now, this is where I want to thank Toastmaster Santosh in particular. He, in fact, opened us a different avenue, different way of thinking altogether. For example, I found that whenever there were questions which were posed to you pertaining to employment, you were slightly uncomfortable. To name one specific example, when he said that, what about the people who are taking employment, who are fishermen right now? How are you going to handle them? And then the answer which you gave was a little less convincing, in my opinion. You said that it might take generation after generation. So I felt that a better logical explanation, a better research on that particular area would have made your speech a lot more content credit. Maybe it would have made a lot more complete in terms of content, because that was one area which I felt you could have done a little bit more homework on, because I found a bit uncomfortable in that particular area. Having said that, Toastmaster Parijat, your strength is your ability to empathize and sympathize. You have done it by handling different questions. I love the relatable examples which you brought in, your hand gestures. I have a little smile and have a better explanation towards employment aspect of it, and you would create wonders. Toastmaster Parijat, after listening to your speech, I think you should be made as the brand ambassador of PITA, and you have done it through your power of empathy and power of sympathy. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Puneet. I'm sure Parijat will be greatly benefited. And I will also take one point. I will henceforth also smile while giving my report. So moving on. So I hope, may I request Toastmaster Komal as the time of the day to please let us know if all the evaluators have qualified and with their timings.
Puneet has not qualified. Other than Puneet, all speakers have qualified. The finish time for Toastmaster Amit was 3 minutes 26 seconds. For Divyesh, it was 2 minutes 30 seconds. And for Puneet, it was 3 minutes 33 seconds. So, yeah, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Komal. May I request the Sergeant at Arms to please launch the poll. Two evaluators have qualified. Toastmaster Puneet missed it by 3 seconds. So I request everyone to please vote for Amit and Divyesh for the best evaluator. All right. As you guys vote, may I request the R counter for the day. Now we are moving on to the second section. Now we will have role players report. May I request R counter Toastmaster Vinod to please come on the virtual stage and present his R counter report.
Sure. Thanks, Toastmaster Amit, General Evaluator. Can I share my screen? Okay. I hope I can share. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, it is. Okay. You can actually shorten the top ribbon by clicking on the top right corner, that upward arrow, so that it is more visible. Or you can zoom in some ways. Right now it's like, yeah, I think good enough.
Okay, all right. Okay, so thanks back for my report. So our counter report. So it's like UFO. I will present in the UFO form. U is the unwanted crunch sounds. F is the filler words or filler phrases, and O is the overlong pauses. So I just try to plot it here. So Toastmaster, those are below 5 on crutch sound, are Toastmaster Parijat, Toastmaster Pratap, uh, Toastmaster Radha. So actually, we need to learn from Radha and Tushar how to make it 0. Toastmaster Santosh, again, less than 5. Toastmaster Vinod, I will be more than 5 after end of my report. And on more than 5, crutch sound, Toastmaster Amit, Toastmaster Komal, Toastmaster Manisha, Toastmaster Puneet, Toastmaster Renu, just 5. Toastmaster Sonika, again more than 5. On filler words, again more than 5. Toastmaster Amit, Toastmaster Manisha, Toastmaster Parijat, and Toastmaster Sonika. On the overlong pauses, I think there are not that higher side, but there are a couple of, but we are in less than 5 overall. So this is all about me, and frequently use words like Toastmaster Sonika. You can control on practicing something like reducing the sound of so and and Toastmaster Reno also you can look at the sound and same to Toastmaster Manisha and Komal. So that's all. Over to you. See you later.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vinod, for that report. Now moving on to the language evaluator report. May I call upon Toastmaster Santosh to present his report on the language evaluation for the meeting? Toastmaster Santosh, over to you.
Thank you, General Evaluator Toastmaster Amit. Having statistical report, after that I am presenting my literature report, and I have taken vintage point from prepared speech and frame of reference from all speaker in this meeting in my report. So Toastmaster Parijat use one time word of day and one time phrase of day. Toastmaster Renu use 4 time word of day and 3 time uh, phrase of day. Toastmaster Manisha use one time phrase of day. Toastmaster Amit so far use one time phrase of day. Toastmaster Devesh use one time uh, word of day. Moving on the good uses, I have noted many good uses like first and foremost, grand and lavish, vital point, nutritions, unfold some fact, comprehensive reality, ice on the cake, plant-based eater, ignite, cloud 19, childlike enthusiasm, eatable, eat apple, doctor away, gratitude attitude, last garden, gagnitic tree, lastly curiosity, lastly love, and lastly loan, empathy and sympathy. Not uh, not so good uses, not so good is in term of the context as well as the grammar point of view. Someone said 5 crore. So 5 crore is something, it's not something is related to the Hindi. It's better to like 500 million. Someone said, what I say about him. There's nothing wrong in the grammatical point of view, but if go for the context, maybe you want to introduce with the weightage, so you could have say what I can say about him. Someone said start well done. Here could be right sentence, start was well done. Now today, Gyan of the meeting tips. Someone said that every person, every people, and everyone have the perspective. Now here you can see that every person and every people. People is a collective noun and every is a singular. So ideally we cannot use every people. But when we say that every people, People means that we denote the nation or group of the common trait. So if we say that every person have, my belief, every person have right future of this meeting, then it's correct. If I said every people, I believe every people have good future, that would be wrong. If I say every people, I believe that every people have right future of this world, then would be correct. So every people means that denote the nation, country, or every person denote the common person, normal person. With that, over to General Evaluator.
Thank you, language evaluator Toastmaster Santosh. That was also a very technical report after the counter report. All right, now it's my perspective and my frame of reference that I'll be presenting my report. So this is the third section of the general evaluation part. Starting on with the role players, feedback on the role players. Sergeant at Arms Toastmaster Pratap started on time, read the mission well, spoke on the theme though just a bit, read out the rules, and you were on time. Now, a feedback for you or for any sergeant at arms in future. I noticed that you had 3 minutes to speak, but you utilized only 1 minute 53 seconds, and that gives you 1 minute 17 seconds left for your stage time, which you could have utilized to speak either more on the theme or speak about anything so that you also benefit taking the role of sergeant at arms and utilize concepts of public speaking and utilize the stage time. And second, to any sergeant at arms, I would recommend is that after you have read out the rules during the meeting, also you can send one messages to the people who have not renamed themselves. Like I could notice Sonika did not rename. I could notice people did not prefix Toastmasters to their name. So as sergeant at arms, we can think of doing that during the meeting. Other than that, job well done, Toastmaster Pratap. Keep taking more roles. Timer Toastmaster Komal. You utilized 1 minute during your introduction. You could have added 30 seconds to speak a bit about the theme, though you started with a quote, and I really like that. You explained your role well. During table topics, I noticed you asked people whether the screen was visible or not. Now, as a recommendation I have for you is that as timer or whatever role we are taking, we are the leader of that role and we are supposed to lead in that role. Now, as timer, when you knew that Parijat's time was over, you should have come forward or you should have continued displaying the card. Or many times Parijat asked, I'm not sure about the timing. You should have pitched in and told that, yes, you have crossed your time. So forget even if it is club president or district director or international director, as timer, if they have crossed the time, you have all the right and you have all the duty to come forward and say assertively that you have crossed the time. So that's normal because you are new. In my when I was new, I had also done similar things, but I could share my recommendation to you or anyone who works as the timer. And that's all from for you. You have sincerely done your job. Otherwise, thank you, Toastmaster Komal. Moving on to the R counter, Toastmaster Vinod, you explained your role well. You showed a graph that helped us visualize and understand where each one of us lagged. The UFF format was good. Now you told frequently used words by people. Recommendation, something for you or any R counter, because you're coming at the start explaining your role. There you can add a tip how to reduce those R counter crutch words or those words like that. So you can give a tip for all of us. And maybe instead of giving individual feedback to people, you can combine and tell that these were the most used crutch words and how we can stop them. Otherwise, that report was fantastic, especially the graphical format. You took time to make that. Kudos to you. The language evaluator, Toastmaster Santosh, you explained your role well. Word of the day, phrase of the day. Although word of the day I found a bit difficult, but it was good and you explained it well. You asked people to show thumbs up, and that's encouraging for all of us. And when you came back to give your report, I really liked how you presented an example by using the word of the day and phrase of the day yourself. So that was well done. You told us who all used word of the day. You told us about good usages, not so good usages. Just a bit of tweaking I would recommend. Uh, Use CRC approach. So if you are saying word of the day usages first, then sandwich the not so good usages, and then tell about the good usages being used. I really liked how you gave tip of the day, and I think we can carry with us about the call collective noun and that tip. So thank you, Toastmaster Santosh. Role well done. Table topics master, Toastmaster Manisha. You help people understand what is your role and why impromptu speaking is necessary. You explained that LTOD concept. You explained the timing well, that I really like, because many a times we miss doing that. And recommendation, if you or anyone else as table topics master, do we have Manisha here? I guess not. Okay. So if anyone, okay, she's here. I can't see. Okay.
No,
She's
she's
not.
not.
Okay, no problem. So if anyone takes as table topics master, you can simply go ahead and pick the nominations yourself. So even if you don't have nominations, doesn't matter. And second thing, maybe since the contest is approaching, and contest format is that you read out the topic to the table in the table topics. So for the next 6 to 8 weeks, maybe we can copy that format and do away with this slides or picture kind of format. So that will help us give good practice on table topics for the contest. So that is my opinion. Otherwise, job well done. Presiding officer, Toastmaster Parijat, energetic. You checked for the guests, though there were none, but you did check. You gave a prelude to the induction. You gave a prelude about the theme, and you gave a story around the theme. So that helped build on the meeting, and that was job well done. And then evaluator, Toastmaster Divesh. So coincidentally, I noticed both Toastmaster Divesh, who was evaluating Toastmaster Sonika, both of them started with saying so. So that is something we all can stop doing. Now coming to the evaluation of Toastmaster Divesh, though you used CRS approach, that is commendation, saying the good points, sandwiching the recommendations, and then the summary. But I noticed you had good amount of time left with you. That is 1 minute. So you can think of challenging yourself by putting in one more commendation, one more recommendation, and then summarizing with a bit more time. Otherwise, job well done. Puneet, I liked how he again used the CRS approach, but I think again he overshot his time, and maybe he needs to work on that. And as evaluators, we all need to balance the time for all of us. Then who else? Okay. Now the induction, I liked how Tushar carried forward the induction and he finished it in 7 minutes. So that was job well done. Now coming to the host of the day, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Rin. Now I liked how you entirely brought a concept of Radio Mirchi, radio jockey. You explained the program for the day. You involved people. You tried to involve them. And I like that how the slides were just 8 slides and not a set of 20 to 40 slides. And also there were less words. You spoke more, you explained more on the slides. And I really liked how you, after each speaker went away, finished the speech, you related. You said few words about the speech, and you then carried forward with the meeting. One concept, that 6 versus 9, again gave a beautiful input on perspective. So all in all, you kept us hooked. Now as a recommendation, now as TMOD, or I like to call it the Toastmaster of the week, you are the host for the entire week. Now this is where I would like to bring in the perspective of doing the homework. Now homework in terms of the things which I noticed the agenda was delayed. Usually we send it by Thursday, even if the roles are not filled, we send a draft one. I noticed it coming just an hour ago. You missed to encourage, like you could have get more involved and encourage people to take up roles. Uh, you introduced people but missed to call them to explain about their roles. Uh, Somehow I felt that you missed to read on the role player script, though I would say that it's not necessary to follow the entire script by rote language, but that gives us few of the important points, and so that people come on a stage and explain their roles as well. And one thing I noticed, which was incorrect in your first slide, is that we are in area C2 and not C3. So let us be careful. And in the agenda also, I noticed that the host was Toastmaster Swati initially, but at the last moment it came as Toastmaster Renu. So I understand, Renu, it might be your first Toastmaster of the day, but anyone who takes this, please understand you are host, you lead the meeting. And here also I would request the VP Education to please help if somebody is new in the role, help with the script, help with checking the agenda, maybe a little follow-up from your side will also be required. So feedback to the VP Ed as well, and the incoming VP Ed Toastmaster Santosh as well, you might like to keep these things in mind. Otherwise, a job well done, especially like the radio jockey concept, and that was amazing and kept us hooked all along. Thank you, host. That was job well done. And finally, a general feedback from my side to every one of us, including me. Let us try to join 10 minutes early. Otherwise, I found the president, the VP Ed, etc., running behind and calling people who are missing. So please understand, 10 minutes will not harm your time. All of us used to travel initially for 30 minutes, so 10 minutes before we can easily join. One thing I noticed, at least in the last 7-8 meetings, if language evaluator asks, for example, mostly it's Parijat who comes in the picture. So the word of the day, phrase of the day is given a week, maybe 2-3 days in advance. So let us all try to take that, see that, and think of an example. Uh, One thing that I noticed, some people using Toastmasters XYZ, Toastmasters Amit, for example. So it's not Toastmasters, it Toastmaster Amit, and Toastmasters is the organization, or Toastmasters if it is a plural or a lot of Toastmasters are there. So that's all from my side. I enjoyed the meeting, good lighting at my side and everyone's side. So thank you very much. And over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Renu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Amit, for the great evaluations and amazing feedbacks. We'll make sure to make a note of it and improve in our next upcoming sessions. Now it's the time for voting for the role players. May we have the poll, please?
And then you can go ahead with your closure statements while this happens.
Sure. So that's coming to an end with perspective and ideas and vantage points and frame of references, right from nutrition to love to loans and to having greenery and having the vegetarian approach and getting rid of the non-vegetarian food. Amazing session, great inputs, great insights, amazing brain mapping of different viewpoints and different scenarios, great feedbacks, lots of learning. And to conclude, again, what you see is what you get. What you learn is what you interpret. What you understand is what you give away. This is Toastmaster Renu signing off from Mirchi Banya Toastmasters Club. Thank you very much. And over to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Parijat.
I'm sure we all now appreciate how important are different perspectives, different frames of reference, how 6 versus 9 is the same number, but looking at it from different angles could mean something very different. And all of this was brought to us through the Radio Mirchi by our radio jockey today, Toastmaster Renu. So a big round of applause to her and to everyone who made this meeting wonderful today. And I would also like to congratulate all our new members who got inducted, Toastmaster Komal, Shweta and Pratap. Welcome again to Baner family. And I'm sure together we will cross newer milestones and we will see you grow as great speakers in just no time. I believe we don't have any guests right now, so I'll directly jump on to our moments of glory. So based on the votes that you had cast, and I request everyone to cast vote. Today I was seeing a very small percentage of people casting their vote, which is not great. Let's give the right representation so that we get the right feedback. So let's begin with the best prepared speaker, and thank you for voting me on this. Then the best table topic speaker, and that goes to Toastmaster Radha. Congratulations, Radha. And the next two awards are actually to the same person. That's Toastmaster Amit as the best evaluator for evaluating Toastmaster Shivani's speech, and also the best role player for his great general evaluation report that he presented today. Thank you very much, and congratulations to you, Amit. Okay, so now with that, we are at the end of our meeting today, the 236th meeting. We are going to have a joint meeting next week, which is on 26th, and that is the last meeting of this financial year. So I would certainly urge all of you to find time. We are going to have a great format there, perhaps some more interesting activities that will make it more interesting. So please attend that 26th December meeting. With that, I call this meeting to an end, and may I request each of us to switch on our videos so that I can grab a great picture with a lot of smiles and with our thumbs up. Sonika, Shlok, if you guys can also switch on your video for a few seconds. Shlok, I can see your thumbs up, but your face will also.
One moment.
Yeah. Sonika, yes, okay, great. We're just waiting for Shlok. Folks, just give me a moment. As soon as he switches on his video, I'll get a grab. Okay, big smiles. Okay, I think I got that. Just a minute. Okay, I got that. So thank you very much. Now we come to an end and we open our meeting for fellowship. See you. Bye-bye. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you next week. Thank you. Bye.